This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself. I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What's up, everybody? Welcome on in. It's JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I hope you can feel it like we do. It is absolutely getting to be that time of year where everything is starting to ramp up. We're starting to hit that fever pitch for excitement for football. We've added the layer of hockey now to the entire mix. We're trying to figure out what that dance is like. Like, where does that live in your heart right now, Utah fans? Utah Hockey Club fans, are you remembering? Oh, yeah. Or are you just going to let it hit you on October 8th and go, oh, that's fun?
Look, I'm fired up about hockey. So excited about the NHL, but Alex, it's football season.
I know.
Thank you.
I don't know which one is Frank
The late,
Caliendo
great
and which
John
one's
Madden. Is that Caliendo or Madden?
No, it's Madden.
Okay,
that was
you.
like a real memorial that somebody had put up together about his passing.
I can smell the football in the air.
Yeah, it's good.
It is glorious.
We're having a good time. We're going to be jumping into everything college football today. We have tons to mow through. Here's what we're planning out. Here's just like the basic setup for you, so you can listen all afternoon. All right. We're going to have breakdown of all of the positions that Kalani Sitake had talked about yesterday at after our show ended. That's when the availability for all the players and things started up. And so we'll be able to hear about those position groups, get a little bit more about Ben Bywater's season-ending, career-ending situation for him. He sat down with Mitch Harper also after practice, and so we'll get to that. So 3 o'clock hour, we're doing tons of BYU stuff. 4 o'clock hour, we're doing tons of Utah State. We're jumping in, and we're gonna. If you missed part of that discussion with Nate Dreiling, the head coach, interim head coach at Utah State University. Yeah, we're by law we're required to say interim.
Proper.
Well, look, you can't have the tag on there. Everybody loves talking about the tag. So Utah State at 4 o'clock, and then Utah football at 5 o'clock, and we also have the two newest members of the KSL Sports family coming on the program today. We're super excited about this because Cole Bagley, who is going to be covering everything NHL and everything Utah Hockey Club for us here on KSLSports.com, and is going to come on the air with us as often as he'll come on the air with us. We're going to get all those breakdowns. And then Steve Bartle, of course, is our brand new Utah insider for Utah football, basketball, everything University of Utah athletics. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait for those guys to come in. They're going to come in person. I think, are they doing a party for him right now? Did they do it at this time on purpose so they didn't have to invite us?
Yeah.
It's probably better.
They always plan these parties.
Yeah, but they were
during
like
our
this.
show.
JJ and Alex are going to show up and go, do you have any celery? Because that's you and I walk in there and put a wet blanket on the cookies and go, I'm trying to watch my figure, and you guys probably should too. So that's probably why they did. It's better that they're doing it while we're on the air so we don't go down there and eat all the cookies, JJ. That's what I'm saying.
Or throw away their Branberry Cross.
I saw a box of donuts out there. Did I?
I think it's from yesterday.
Sometimes it's is it?
I think so.
Sometimes I don't know if it's real or a mirage sometimes.
This brings up an interesting discussion we got to get into before we get to the cut.
Yeah. Which is?
How long is too long with the donut?
Banbury Cross, it's a good 36-hour window for me.
At what point, no matter how good the donut is, no matter how long it's been out there, do you say thanks but no thanks?
Yeah, 24 hours is it's pushing it, but I get desperate enough.
I don't know, man. I've had some 48-hour donuts that are still all right.
I know, and here's why.
Trust me, I've done a lot of research on this topic.
Well, and I don't want to get too crazy about it, but the yeast-based donuts, those are the ones that go quicker. They get stale. They get more stale more quickly.
Right.
Okay. You have a cake-based donut, you're going to have a little bit more life in that one. Okay. The moistness stays in the donut.
Makes sense. Okay.
So it depends on the donut, really. I'm glad we had this discussion.
I'm willing to do more research. Of course, I'm trying to be careful right now, so I have to keep my calorie count very, very low.
I'm glad you said that. If those donuts were from yesterday, then I'm not going to be tempted. All right? But maybe we'll use them as a hockey puck, considering that we're talking to Cole Bagley about
fresh
hockey
and hot Banbury Cross, though.
I told you that's my move. When we lived in Salt Lake, I would go, that's my move. I'd walk in and they go, hey, what can we get for you? I would just say, what is the hottest thing you have right now? What's the warmest donut? Because that one is fresh off the press. When you get a box of those hot donuts, hot donut. All right, there you go. Boy, can you tell we're on a diet?
Yeah.
Jamming on
We're
some
going to talk
donuts.
about donuts for 3 hours and he tells us to shut up.
Hey,
right now.
listen. Like I said, BYU hour number 1, Utah State hour number 2, and Utah Hockey Club mixed in there as well. And then Utah and fall camp and Steve Bartle jumping on with us at 5 o'clock as well. And we have so many other things to jump into. So, JJ, chock full show. It's really exciting. Our program is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. Let's get to the cut. Let's get to Kalani Sitake and a lot of audio that you may have missed yesterday. And we're going to jump in on all the positions that he was willing to talk to us about. Let's do it right now.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, phrasing. All right, listen.
We're not going to see that in a drop.
No, you will not.
Okay.
You will not.
Sorry, little inside business here during the.
X gon' give it to you.
Oh, boy.
That's our Robin Leach.
That's not
That's
even
DMX.
close. Can I get a redo?
No.
That's
No.
not a British accent.
It was what it was. All right? So
I
there
don't
you go.
even know what that is. Like my Paul Rudd impression or something. What was that?
I know. You know when
It's
you
terrible.
when you do it long enough and then it ends up just kind of tailing off, you lose it.
Yeah.
That's part of it. It's hard to do.
Man, that was like a.
Yeah.
If I was a punter, that would have gone back behind my
shanked
head
it.
like 3
Yeah.
yards. That was terrible.
All right. So here's what we have. The cut, of course, brought to you by Trajan Wealth this hour, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth for all your financial needs and retirement. Let me see here. So Kalani yesterday, obviously it's not fun, but you have to rip that Band-Aid off of telling everybody the news that you were probably really not excited to tell them about, which was the Ben Bywater stuff. And we'll get to that. I don't know what he was less excited about talking about. Ben Bywater and his medically retiring from football or having to start fielding all of the quarterback questions. Mm-hmm. But you know what? That's your job, right? With fall camp underway, the QB competition, they split first-team reps. Don't you love that? Don't you love?
It wasn't even split. It was spread evenly across the quarterback group.
No.
It's not a split.
I thought it was just first-team
They
reps.
quartered it. They didn't just split it. They quartered it.
That's why starting quarterbacks in the NFL will murder a guy if they're the backup and they try to take even one rep from them, because practice is so important.
Yep.
And these coaches, that's why you don't want a quarterback competition going on as long as you have to. You don't want it a day longer than you have to do it, because you want to get first-team reps and you want to get that, I hate this term, the gelling of the team together. You want them to gel. What other football management words can we use?
Cohesion.
Synergy. That's another big one. Cohesion. Big time. Kalani would be a great middle manager in corporate America using all that stuff. Here's Kalani talking about the quarterback, and if you are hoping to get a quarterback named as a starter within the first couple of days, you'll be waiting around quite some time.
I don't know. It's not a deadline thing. It's just a feel and how we see the team's doing, you know. So right now, I can tell you it's not going to happen this week. And both guys did a great job. And I mean, all four quarterbacks did a great job today. But their job is to make it hard on us to make the decision. But I feel comfortable having a bunch of guys that can do it. We'll just go with the best one. Right now, that one hasn't stood out yet. But I like that all four have done a great job today.
All four of them, great guys. You hate to hear that. Now, when you talk about spreading the reps around like that, and he talked about the reps, because that specifically that's the thing, is you need more reps to see who the guy is, but you won't get that many reps because you're watching if there's literally four quarterbacks that are in this competition, it's going to be a long fall, but here we go. Here's Kalani talking about the number of reps that they're each going to get.
So we split it to get more reps, which is going to be, it's good for both sides, but it'll tax on you a little bit. But in order for us to get reps for everybody and to compete, we have to do that. And our guys are in pretty good shape. I mean, we went through a script of a bunch of plays, and we got done early. We did no huddle stuff, and the guys are a lot cleaner than what we've been. You can see that they've put a lot of work in the offseason, and there's not a lot of mistakes that were made. I mean, in terms of the assignments.
Sounds like they like their room. That's good. Here's my concern, I guess I would throw out there. 4, like you need to see all 4 at this point, means that there's nobody that stands out. And if you have 4 and somebody was coming back from last season and no one's standing out yet, that's not good. That doesn't mean you should be all, down in the dumps about it. It's not the end of the world. It's just I would hope and expect that somebody would be standing out. And maybe they're keeping that under wraps a little bit. We cannot watch practice. Again, the media itself, except for like a few things at the end of practice, I think, which is telling you next to nothing. The bulk of practice they don't want us to see, so we can only sit here and speculate based on what they tell us. So Kalani's telling us that all 4 are getting reps. Sounds like they got 2 over here and 2 over there taking turns.
Yeah.
It's really evenly across the quarterback group. It's good for the group because they're out there, all 4 believing they have a fair shot. That's good. I can tell you, it's having played the position at a level, not going to sit here and tell you, I didn't play it at the college level, but you want to believe you have a chance. You want to believe that they're giving you a fair shot, and that's a highly motivating thing. Once you feel like you're not, mentally it is tough. And they should be giving all 4 guys because who's established here outside of Gerry Bohanon? And if Gerry Bohanon's not healthy or hasn't been healthy the last 2 years, you kind of have to think of it in terms of he's a new quarterback because we don't know what he is post-surgery yet, right? So you look at it that way. These are young guys, or you got Gerry Bohanon who's experienced but coming off a significant injury. You're basically taking a look at all 4 guys, and there's not one guy who has an edge. There's not one quarterback that's standing out. Because if there were, they would have the reps would not be split evenly to start a camp. Look at the other schools in state. Is Spencer Petras splitting any reps?
No, they named
Is
him
Cam
early.
Rising splitting any?
I mean, we already knew what his situation is.
How do you feel about those situations?
Right, and it's interesting
The
because
comfort you get and the confidence you get from that, right?
you heard Spencer Petras on with Hans and Scotty today, and that was actually something that was brought up was he said when you're named a starter like I have been, then your role as a leader ends up getting established more. Like they ask you to be, and you're actually more comfortable telling a guy, hey, we got to do this.
Yeah.
Because you're the guy. Because you tell a wideout who's looking at you going, you're not even going to be throwing the ball to me, dude.
Is Trayson Bourget going to tell Darius Lassiter?
No idea.
No, of course not.
No. Or Keanu Hill, who's been in the program a lot longer than any of these cats.
Right.
And
5 years.
So that's a hard thing to be in. Well, let's listen to the guys themselves, Jake Retzlaff, who I think people just kind of assume, and maybe it's weird for us to assume that, but we just kind of went, I think it feels a little bit like he gets the natural, we have to start with somebody today. We're not going to flip a coin. Let's let the guy who actually had starts last year in this program taking snaps. Here's what Jake Retzlaff said about getting a little bit more comfortable with A-Rod's offense.
Anybody who's played this position knows that the more years you got in an offense, the more you know, the more further you'll be along. I think I took a huge step from a year ago to today. There's definitely big improvements in my game, especially within this offense. So being yourself within the offense is what I've been able to do. I'm still running this offense. I'm not cowboying it, but I'm myself 100%. And so that's how you take that next step up. Last year was probably me just trying to get this offense ran. You know what I mean? Be somebody who can get it done. But it's like, you can able to find yourself do the extra stuff, do the better stuff, the improviser stuff, the stuff that I love to do. Can add that to the offense and make it even better.
I think that's a guy who took a long, hard look in the mirror and went, you threw for 7,500 yards at the JC level in California. That's competitive athletic stuff. You can do this. Like, you might have to step it up a little bit. Like, you're going to have to be that next level. You're going to have to step up here. Like, he had to look in the mirror and be like, I lost the Oklahoma game for us. Right? If you're him, that's a conversation that is a hard one you have to have with yourself. And I don't know if he has the edge right now at that position. I would like to think that the reason that all 4 are getting reps like they're seeing right now is because the third and fourth guys, who I assume are Trayson Bourget and, I don't know, McKay Hillstead?
Yeah.
Is that who we're talking about?
Uh-huh. Correct.
Okay. I think that people can see the arm talent that McKay Hillstead probably has. And I think McKay comes in also with, he has 0 to lose when it comes to, he's like, dude, I'm in my head, I wouldn't be the starter this year anyway, but I will be the 2 years after that. And so he's like, I'll just sling it like crazy in practice. We'll see what happens. Gary Bohanon is the biggest question mark because everything is, he was asked yesterday about the shoulder, and it was, he says he's 100%. It's accurate. I'm 100% ready to go. But there's also a guy who had a full shoulder reconstruction. Speaking of, Spencer Petras is kind of the same thing up at Utah State.
And lost the starting job twice at 2 different institutions.
And you know what? We've also heard he had to kind of relearn how to throw. Right. Like, that's a weird place to start. Gary Bohanon talking about competing on day 1 at camp.
Reps are even right now. Kind of rotate with the ones, split fields, and get the same amount of reps. Thought today was a good day. Got to go and watch the tape, clean up some stuff. But I thought it was a good day. Everybody was juiced up. Came out, competed, had fun. That's what we want to do. We executed at a high level. Little things to work on and fix, but I thought it was a good day by everybody.
He's got an advantage, too, because he got all the spring under his belt. And Trayson Bourget, by the way, is a guy who people really like as well. But we don't hear much from those guys because you don't hear from a 3rd and 4th string quarterback during camp unless it's like hey, we'll roll these guys out because it's day 9 of camp or whatever it might be, or, we're running out of ideas with guys. But Gary Bohanon says he's starting to understand that offense a lot more. And A-Rod's offenses are, kind of complicated. And for a guy like Gary Bohanon, I think A-Rod licks his chops with the athleticism of Gary Bohanon. I think that's why Retzlaff and Bohanon are a couple of guys that would be at the top of the list.
Oh, it's just reaction right now. It's just reacting. So just spend time with that family, getting the reps over summer. Everybody knows learning the offense, it takes some time to just really just know it. So now I'm at a good point where I can just get out there and react to whatever the defense does.
The install.
Yes, the install.
It's a computer system. You have to go through, download it, install it.
You got to put that USB drive in your ear and let the data process.
Do people have thumb drives anymore? Is that a thing? You just install it from the cloud.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Look at you sounding all techy. I don't use thumb drives anymore. I have my own cloud.
We have a drawer full of the thumb drives. It's just all just all offenses. It's all
right next to your floppy disks.
Yeah.
It's all in the same drawer that you haven't cleaned in 20 years.
No, of course. I don't know how I feel about these two guys. I don't know yet.
Yeah, no, we don't know anything. It was day 1. If we're looking for clues, it was Jake and Gerry that were trotted out to the media.
Yeah.
So there's that, but that is not really a surprise because that's how it was in spring, and they're the most senior guys on the roster in that room.
Yeah.
So they're the most experienced guys in that room.
They brought 0, by the way, to media day. Brought 0 quarterbacks from media day.
And that was the right move.
Yeah.
For a number of reasons. Gerry is interesting because you've seen him do it at a big-time level. I watched it with my own eyes. I was at the BYU Baylor game in Waco 3 years ago. He was good.
Yeah.
He led that offense, and they marched all over BYU, and BYU had a good defense.
The running game, and Jaron Hall had a nice game, if I recall.
He had that big touchdown run.
But he also had
some nice throws to Puka.
Yeah, he had a lot of yards that he kind of racked up, but it wasn't Gary Bohanon who won that game for him. It was their run game. You remember they absolutely just
he
ran
had full
all
command
over
as the quarterback of that offense, and I was like, this guy, this is the kind of quarterback you need at the Power 5 level back then, Power 4 now, but back then Power 5 level to lead your team, and that team ended up in the Big 12 championship game. So I've seen him do it. I've also seen him lose his job at that level. I don't know what to think about where he's at, but I will say this, and I feel this strongly. BYU's ceiling this year is higher if Gerry wins the job as far as wins go. I just feel like if he is the guy and he wins this job, that means Gerry is going to be the Baylor Gerry that we saw back then in 2021. Which means BYU does have a quarterback that can win at this level and lead this offense and march it down the field efficiently.
Yeah.
And that's what BYU needs right now. They can't be 120th in offense. They can't turn the ball over in key moments. They have to be efficient, and they've got to rack up more yardage, and they've got to be able to do it both through the air and on the ground. It's got to be balanced.
Okay. We've talked about this a little bit, and I don't know what the real answer is. Like, do you see – okay, here we go. You ready? We're going to see 2 starting quarterbacks for BYU this year, right? At some point.
Yeah. So I think best case is you see 1.
Do you
That's
see?
good. That's great news.
I think we're going to see 2 at least.
I do too, and I think we might even see 3 or maybe
That's
4.
okay. That's not living in that area of 3, the third or fourth guy coming in is devastating because it's either that you've melted down and you don't know those first 2 positions, or awful injuries. Either way, it is a terrible situation. And look, ask Utah last year. They had 4 or 5 quarterbacks.
And
playing.
how many of those guys are left?
Right?
How many guys that played quarterback at Utah last year are gonna get reps this year? The answer is 0. Because they're gone. Because they weren't good enough.
Is Bryson Barnes not even in the conversation up at Utah State?
He's the backup to Spencer Petras.
Uh-huh. He's going to be the backup, though.
I think so.
All right. Well,
I mean, McKay transferred and Cooper Legas transferred to Tulsa.
Oh, that's right.
So yes.
Huh. Well.
Yep.
BYU fans do not feel great about this, and you shouldn't. And it's a bad situation. But what really stinks about it, JJ, is also since Jaron Hall left. I mean, you've had 2 full summers. Actually, you know what's crazy is last year everyone just assumed that Keaton Slovis was going to be the answer to all the prayers, right?
Well, there was reason to believe that.
Yeah.
It was like because we thought this Pitt stuff's a fluke. You're getting USC Keaton Slovis.
We told ourselves that, didn't we?
We did. We were wrong.
Yes.
Now, was it an injury that contributed to that? That doesn't really matter at this point. The bottom line is, as soon as they went to Big 12 play, the wheels came off.
Yep.
Right? Kansas was a disaster, and it was all downhill from there. So you need to know you got a guy in the room. And I think if you want BYU to make a bowl game this year, you go with the known commodity. And that's Gerry Bohanon.
So I've got 2021 or I've got 2019 highlights up of Gerry Bohanon. Boy, 2019 highlights of Gerry Bohanon.
That's the thing.
And phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, he's the fastest guy on the field.
If in 2019 I told you that Gerry Bohanon would be the BYU quarterback someday, you would have
no way.
No way!
Now there's no version of that because
he was that good.
Right, and the way that you get, right, he took him to did they win the Big 12 championship with him at the helm? Or was it by then?
No, they won the Big 12 in 2021, right?
Right, and I think he played most of that season and then got injured, and then he lost his starting job to, who was the cat who played for him last year? 2 years ago. Well, anyway, I've already fallen off of my my Baylor quarterback knowledge. We'll see though. Jake Retzlaff is a guy who I think is going to be given a little bit more of an effort to make peace with that position, and he's got the edge because he's been in the offense longer, and Gerry Bohanon's got an edge in the sense that I think that if you're talking about mobility and quarterbacks that A-Rod loves, Gerry Bohanon, half of his highlights are him breaking out into the secondary, into that second level and getting 14, 18 yards on these rushes. You don't want to have to rely on that, though. And I know that that's a thing that's been a part of every A-Rod iteration of an offense is a mobile quarterback who doesn't see what he likes downfield and can scoot. And Jake Retzlaff and Gerry Bohanon both give you that in different ways. So here's what we'll do. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Coach Kalani Sitake talks about running backs, offensive line. He also jumped in about the Ben Bywater thing, and then we also have a chunk from a Ben Bywater talking with Mitch Harper, a BYU insider for KSLSports.com yesterday as well. You don't want to miss any of that. We'll jump in here. We've got Utah State next hour. We've got Utah in the 5 o'clock hour. Do not miss any of it. Stay right here, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone.
And now, it's time to break down the Cougars.
Give me everything you got right now.
This is your Cougars Daily Update with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. We're lamenting all these quarterbacks that could have stayed here locally.
Can you imagine BYU with Jackson Dart at quarterback right now?
Or how about what is your future or what would your life have looked like if Jackson Dart would have gone to Utah where his dad played? And, do you get Cam Rising? I don't know.
That's exactly
It's
you don't know how it all shaped out.
it's a crazy thing.
I mean, let's take it another step further. Zach Wilson wanted to go play at Utah.
Didn't get offers.
The Utes blew it chasing that kid from that Elite 11 kid in California that
Charlie Brewer
bailed in fall
Wait, who
camp.
was it? Was it Charlie Brewer?
No, it was the one before that.
Oh, Jack Tuttle.
Tuttle. It was Tuttle.
Oh my gosh.
Because
Jack Tuttle's dad was
they promised Jack Tuttle. I'm throwing around some stuff here.
Right. No,
they
he
promised
said,
Jack Tuttle he
don't
would be the
talk to
only high
anybody
school
else.
quarterback we were going to recruit, and they kept that promise.
Don't talk to
So
anybody
they didn't
else.
offer Zach. Zach goes on. We know the rest of the story. But what if Zach had been the next quarterback at Utah after Tyler Huntley? Which is how that all would have played out.
If Fessy Sitake hadn't flirted with Zach Wilson as much as he did when he was at Weber,
right,
and got a relationship going,
right.
When Fessy went to BYU,
Yeah.
it was a familiar thing. That's why he bailed on the Boise State commitment.
If Zach Wilson ends up at Utah and waits to play, he's not the number 2 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft.
Well, he certainly doesn't play that COVID year.
All these things.
He doesn't play that COVID year because
No.
Utah didn't play hardly at all.
They played 5 games.
Yeah.
He would have never have got that shot.
Dang. You know what? You
Isn't
made
that
the right
crazy
choice.
how it all shapes
Just
out?
based off of the guaranteed money he got, if things don't work out at all for Zach, don't feel bad for him.
But would he have benefited from?
Who knows? Because he also would have been in an offense that didn't throw the ball nearly as much as BYU did. So you've got all sorts of things in there. Because everyone, for as much as Cam Rising, everybody looks at and goes, that dude is talented. He's amazing. What's a grade on that guy for the NFL?
That's I would love
sixth
to hear
round?
from a scout, because you look at his ability and what he does, and you're thinking, yeah, he could play in the NFL. But then you start saying, okay, well, how old is he?
Yeah.
And how many injuries has he had? And how many surgeries has he had? And all that stuff plays into the things that the
But
NFL
also, he's never
evaluates.
He's never been a guy that was just like an absolute slinger. You know what I mean?
He slung the ball against USC.
I know, but I'm just saying that
He
the yardage was
won a
never
gunslinging match with a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, twice that year.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
What's the grade right now on Cam Rising for the Jeremy found something? What do we got?
Yeah, over at Walter Football, puts him number 12th in the class.
12th quarterback. The way that these drafts have gone, he'll be end of the first round.
Right.
he'll be first round talent. So 12th quarterback is legitimately like a 4th round
or later.
Or
Depends on the draft. And I think that grade could go up if he stays healthy all year, and which is why he's back. He knows, he has this information. If you can Google it in 15 seconds, trust me, him and his people have that information. They know he's got to put tape together that shows that he's A, healthy, and B, plays at a high level as healthy. That the injuries are not keeping him or holding him back anymore, right?
My people and my bank account said I needed to stay at Utah. That's crazy.
Why go in the 7th round and make $230K a year when you can make 1.5 at Utah as the starting quarterback of a Power 4 football team that has a chance to go to college football playoffs?
He'll walk out of Utah having made about $3-ish million.
And I hope he's invested it and taken care of it.
If you count that cool 70s truck as an investment, then yes, he has. Hey, dude, can I buy that from Utah? I bet he bought it from him. Yeah, he had to have.
Hey, I'd drive that truck.
I watched that video and I could smell that truck.
We now live in an era where if you're good enough, these guys can go to college, make 6 to 7 figures, get a degree, and then never play football again, and they'll be set for life if they are smart about what they do at college. I know that's like the best 1%. This is not 90% of college football players can do that. I get that, but someone like Cam Rising.
What was the money that Jamarcus Russell made? It was like same thing. It was like $20 million.
How much did Reggie Bush make?
And then he spent it all on cheeseburgers, Jamarcus Russell, right?
And purple drink.
That's right. Oh, no.
Yeah, that didn't end well.
No. Yeah. $32 million he got. And you know what? We've already gotten the stories about him being bankrupt. Remember, he took
my cautionary tale.
He got accused of taking money recently at like an auction or something down in his home state. Weird. Like a chair. Oh no, that's what it was. He asked donors to donate to the high school, and then he just straight up allegedly took the money.
Even Vince Young has a rough story. It's just like,
Yeah.
just because you make it and you're on top of the world one minute doesn't mean you're going to be that way all the time.
Yeah.
And it's tough to stay on top, man.
All right, here's what we're going to do. More audio from Kalani Sitake, and then we'll get to some of this Ben Bywater stuff. Let me get to the position groups, though, here real quick. Start with the O-line. I'm convinced that the O-line is convinced that they're in a way better spot. It was dark times with Daryl Funk the last couple of years, and it hit ahead, obviously, last year. The story that we heard from unnamed sources was they had told the players at some point during the year that Daryl Funk was not going to be coming back. When you tell your offensive line group that during the season, JJ, that's a stab in the heart. You know what I mean? Like, because you just know that you're going to be halted on your progression, right? But Kalani talked about this new offensive line coach, TJ Woods, and I think everybody's excited about what he can bring.
I'm always going to look at the front and see how good we did there. It's easier for me to see today from the O-line that it was clean, a lot of the looks. It's good that the O-line weren't making a lot of mistakes and we were actually able to move the ball. We'll see if they can do that against the install for tomorrow with defense, but TJ Woods has made a big difference for that front, and that's something that I was eyeballing today.
Okay. We get to hear a lot from Connor Pay during the season, and at the end of the year he was over it, right? He was just like beside himself with how much he hated how it was turning out. But you also get the impression that they have turned a corner, right? And that's a good place to be in. I don't know what is going to happen with that running back group because LJ Martin, there's a question mark about his full health. In fact, Kalani talked a little bit about that because, people are liking kind of the direction of that group, but we'll see what ends up happening. Here's what Kalani said.
LJ looks like he's way more comfortable, and he's a true freshman. He's getting used to everything, the locker room, college life, all of that. Night and day difference. He's a leader now, and he's helping Pokai and Sione and the others, and then you bring back Hinckley, Ropati, and Miles Davison. Those guys are doing a great job. I like the running back group right now.
So there you go.
I think we haven't talked enough about the offensive line because obviously we're distracted by this quarterback situation. Doesn't matter, as we saw last year, who the quarterback is if your offensive line is not where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And then whether that's coaching or cohesiveness or synergy, whatever the reason, whatever the buzzword, whatever the cause, it's got to be right. And I believe that BYU has the talent and the character in that room amongst the players. We talk to Connor every week during the season. We've talked to him about this. Talent's not the problem. Keim's an NFL guy. I mean, these guys are good. They got to be on the same page. They've got to be in the right scheme. They've got to be on the same page with their offensive line coach. And it's by all accounts, TJ Woods is helping them get where they need to go. And Connor's really excited about what they can do. But if that offensive line is not right, they can't run the football, they can't protect the quarterback, it really all starts there. And all this talk we're having about a quarterback doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that offensive line isn't better. They have to be better this season because last year it was a problem.
Here's what Gerry Bohanon said about that running back room. It's nice to hear what a quarterback is saying about it.
He's a powerful running back. He can do some of it all. I mean, to get a young guy like that to play as a freshman, that's a big up for him because he get to get those reps, go ahead and get him on his belt, kind of get a feel for the college level and the way that the speed of the game goes. So that just brings a lot to the table. He works hard. He talks. He's a guy that everybody loves. He's going to get out here and work. That's all you want in the guy. And he gets out here, all of them get out there and compete. They compete in the weight room, compete in the classroom, compete in the film room, compete at eating, wherever we're out there competing. So you like to see that.
That was him specifically talking about LJ Martin. You know what that means, too? The powerful runner thing, you don't get those quotes if somebody's not running the ball hard in practice, which is good from a health standpoint. Hopefully he's doing all right with that. Here's Kalani also because they are, you talked exactly about these offensive linemen and how many of them are coming back, how many of them are NFL talent, and Kalani knows that, they've already wasted a year last year with like phenomenal talent, and they don't want to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Connor and Caleb and Waylon and Braden. Those guys are all very comfortable. They've been through, position battles and things like that. So I think they feel really comfortable. It's getting the next guys up. And then what I like with it that they've done all summer is teaching the next guy up and doing it themselves, not relying on our coaches to do it.
All right. I like all the stuff. Camp, hope springs eternal at camp. You know what I mean? The Ben Bywater stuff obviously hits you in the gut, but what's good about this is, and we can convince ourselves that a team is in a way better spot than they actually are when we start talking about camp.
You can go half empty, half full on that old glass that this seems to be sitting on that table all the time, right?
Yes. But I'm telling you.
We can talk ourselves into anything.
I'm telling you. Last year, there were a bunch of question marks. The offensive line was not one of them. And it ended up being the absolute worst position group
crazy.
of the entire team.
I remember we did a BYU football preview on TV and had Hans come and join me with it. And he was like, we didn't even have to talk about the offensive line.
Right.
That's the one thing we know is going to be good.
Right.
All these other things need to happen, but the offensive line is going to be awesome, and we don't have to worry about them. And I'm not – Hans is right. They should have.
They should have been.
On paper,
Yep.
that unit should have been great. They had a second-round draft pick.
Should have been first.
Connor Pay. I mean, they were loaded. And Lapuahu Wayland's good.
He is good.
He was a big surprise as well. But then he ends up being the only guy that exceeded expectations, and it didn't work out. It all starts there. It really does. It's not fun and sexy to talk about, but it all starts there for BYU.
Let's jump into more of what Ben Bywater kind of expanded into his retirement from college football and that shoulder and the nerve damage apparently that went along with it. Here was Ben Bywater after practice, after he had spoken with the media already. He got with Mitch Harper, our BYU insider. Here's what he said.
Honestly, so tough. It's been a year kind of in the process, which has been hard. I've just been working my tail off, dude. Multiple surgeries. I've done anything and everything you think of, right? Trying to get this thing back, and it didn't. And it's not because I didn't work hard. It's not because my trainers aren't good. It's not because of the surgeon. I had everything at my disposal. It's literally just nerves take a long time, and I have nerve damage in my shoulder that does not allow me to be 100%. I'm not 100%. I'm not even 50% on that right arm. That's what, so that's hard, right? And it's I want to go out there and compete and be there with the boys, but, it's a young man's game, and it's hard when your shoulders and your body's not holding up.
That's hard to hear.
I know.
And you do all that work, and then you go, my arm's not even 50%. And you know what? You could get real bitter and say the surgeon stunk, the training staff shorted me on this, and he did none of that. It's just this was the nature of the injury, and that's a massive bit of bad luck that everybody who plays football has to deal with something along the way. What's funny is my brother played middle linebacker in college, and what does he have? What did he have done as soon as he graduated? Both shoulders. You know what I mean? Big old scar here, big old scar here. The amount of beat up that your body gets.
Yeah.
Insane. And Ben Bywater's going to be missed, man. That's a massive blow to that.
That's your captain.
It's a massive blow to that defense.
It really is.
Yeah. Kalani spoke a little bit about that, and he kind of talked about just the gratitude of being able to coach Ben. They love these young men, and certainly Kalani does, and you can hear it.
He does it for all the right reasons, and that's what you want your guys to be when you get to coach them. And so it's an honor for me to be connected to him and his family and to be his coach. And, I'm still going to be connected to him no matter what he does. So he'll be with us, though. It's just sad that he won't be with us on the field making plays. But he had a devastating injury, and it's a hard one to come back from. We're in a time now where we can see the risks, compared to when I played even. So I think it's important that we do what's best for him and his future, and I think he'd be willing to sacrifice all of it, but we all thought that when we were in our 20s.
It's funny too when you do the whole thing, and it's hey, what's Ben Bywater's status? Yeah, he injured his shoulder. He's going to have season-ending surgery, but we hope to get him back next year, right? And then we hear now it was actually the worst injury you could ever get for that shoulder.
Yeah.
That is just killer.
Well, we heard real quick. I'll mention that Spencer Petras, who was on with Hans and Scotty today, he lost a year with a shoulder injury. He was He led Iowa to a Big Ten championship game, but he got hurt in that Big Ten championship. He actually, against Nebraska. No, he got
the game prior.
The game prior against Nebraska. Did not get to play in the Big Ten championship. That's the last game he ever played at Iowa. He spent the entire next season at Iowa rehabbing from that shoulder injury, and he's finally back now, almost 2 years after.
He actually thought that he was. He thought at one point he was actually just totally done.
Yeah,
because he's like, I'm going to help out coaching. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to help out my dad, and I'm going to help out. I'm going to coach at the highest level that I can. It's crazy. All right, let's take a break. There you go. We'll come back. We've got a little bit more of a conversation to have about quarterbacks. A bit of a would you rather.
We got some breaking news.
Oh, you also have some?
Back, so
okay.
You'll look forward to that after the break.
All right, here we go. We'll take a break here. More to go. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Medicals to get your brain churning. As JJ and Alex ask, would you rather?
I spent a good chunk of this hour watching Gerry Bohanon highlights. I'm on board. Name him the starter just based off the 2019 season. That's it. That's all I need to see. 2019 highlights, JJ. That's it.
It's the world we live in thanks to COVID. We've got 25-year-old college football quarterback.
Gosh, he had such a hell of a game against Stephen F. Austin in 2019, man.
I bet.
Amazing.
We all remember that.
The very first comment is, I'm here because he transferred to BYU. Everybody's watching the highlights on Gerry Bohanon. Don't get caught up in 2019, Gerry Bohanon. He may as well be throwing with that left arm now. My heavens. Everything's changed. Okay. Would you rather?
Do we need to do the breaking news first?
Yes. Wait? Yeah, no. This is straight out from the Major League Baseball breaking news desk. JJ, what do you have?
Slight local angle to this. Angels All-Star Mike Trout out for the season with another meniscus tear in his knee.
Where did he tear it?
Where did he tear it? I don't know if it. He remember he had to leave the game in his one plate appearance. I hope he didn't actually tear it here, and it was just a product of a previous tear. We don't know that detail. That was not disclosed. But the Angels have shut down the rehab for Mike Trout. He will not play for the rest of the season.
I know you said it's not there's a slight local angle. It's hyper local now.
Yeah.
Those bases are a little bit crooked.
It's that
maybe
that thin mountain air caused his meniscus to tear again.
Oh, dang it.
Blame Utah.
It is the worst. I mean, honestly,
he's one of the best in the game, and now you're starting to wonder
how long is
this going to become a chronic issue with his joints? I mean, he's had some injury problems the last couple of years.
What's interesting is that so my younger boys are all they collect baseball cards and stuff, and I actually got this one the other day from the 7-year-old. He's like, "Is this guy good?" And he shows me Mike Trout, and I was like, "Yeah." But the thing is that he's only known, while he's been kind of cognizant of what's going on in the world of baseball, he's only known an injured Mike Trout that you've just heard tale of.
Right.
So he doesn't know him. His whole world is Shohei Ohtani and, Gunnar Henderson. And
there's some good young players in the game.
Bryce Harper comes up, Speaking of which, talk about a number 1 overall pick that worked out.
Yeah.
Like exactly or better than what you thought. The expectations
he was
were
on the cover of SI at age
17.
16?
Oh, no, 16, yeah.
I remember he came here.
He's in that Wood Bat League as a 16-year-old.
Right. Ugh. He graduated early to go to Southern Nevada, so he played a year of JUCO ball before he was drafted. But I remember he played for a local – he played summer ball here in Utah. I forget the name of the organization here. They're going to kill me for forgetting it. But he was part of that.
But it was a Wood Bat League.
And they were invited – yes, they were invited to there was something happened that year. They were invited to do an all-star, like minor league all-star, like home run derby thing. So he participated against the Salt Lake Bees at age 16, and he won the home run derby against AAA baseball players. And you're like, oh my gosh, we have video of it. You can go to our YouTube channel. We were there, and he was knocking balls out of Smith Ballpark at age 16 against AAA players. And for him to have their career he's had, and he's kind of the LeBron James of baseball because he grew up in this new era of hype, where in the early 2000s we were looking for the next big thing all the time.
Right.
And you started looking a little too young, in my opinion, but somehow he and LeBron have turned out to be fantastic on the other end and met every ounce of hype that came along with it and maintained their character and their values along with it as well. So it's pretty impressive to see both of them achieve at that level.
Okay.
Despite all the pressure at a young age.
7-year NBA career or a 14-year Major League Baseball career?
14-year Major League Baseball career.
It's all guaranteed money, too. I mean, the NBA is too.
That was a money response. Totally money. It's all about the money. It's all I care about.
It's all Bryce Harper cares about, too. $333 million. Isn't that funny how that contract looks so dinky now?
I know.
Remember, like, when it happened, it was like, dude, 13 years, $330 million.
It's nothing now.
Wild. Okay. All right. Let's take a quick break. We will come back when we do. If you did not hear the conversation that Hans and Scotty had with Nate Dreiling, this is the interim head coach. It's been a whirlwind few weeks and few months for Nate Dreiling, who came in as the defensive coordinator from New Mexico State and was getting to work on this defense when his whole world got turned upside down, and him and a lot of his players. So we'll hear about what they're dealing with up there as camp has also started up at Utah State. Nominate your U Sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit that nomination, KSLSports.com/contest, and we'll read a winner off every week. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact in your community. With the Hercules Hero of the Week, they get a Visa gift card, and they also get Beehive Meals, sponsored by, of course, Hercules Credit Union and Beehive Meals. There you go. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We got more to go around the corner. Stay tuned for more and to listen to Nate Dreiling next right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.